Hey, this is Walter Jones.
This is Austin St. John.
And you're listening to
Ranger Danger.
Go, go, Ranger Danger. Go, go, Ranger Danger. Go, go, Ranger Danger. Matt and Michael's Ranger Danger.
We've
I've
never
got
done this before, Matt, have we?
No, this is like we've got the breaking news, we jumped onto Skype, and we're recording straight away.
Yeah.
I've got Michael here on Skype with me.
Howdy, folks.
I found, while I was just scrolling through my Facebook feed, a video pop up. I started watching, got about 2.5 minutes into it. I'm sure, Michael, you can guess the bit where I stopped and went, oh God, I have to send this to Michael and we have to start talking about it right now.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Now, before we say anything, we might pop a link to this short film that we watched in the show notes.
Yes, absolutely. You should watch this before we talk about it.
That's right. So if you haven't seen it, pause now, take a moment, get there and watch it. You're not going to regret it. Now, Michael, the people who have not seen it yet have had a chance to go off and watch it.
Yeah, okay, so right now, spoilers from here on out. So pause if you haven't seen it, go through to the show notes, and then come back and pick up here.
That's exactly right. Now, Michael, I don't even properly know where to start because I almost fell off my seat. We on our last once-off special episode, we talked about the possibility of Katie Sackhoff being in a Power Rangers short film.
Yes.
You gathered a decent amount of evidence to suggest that that was in fact the case, and this is it. The fruits have been born of that argument. We have Katie Sackhoff and James Van Der Beek in a Power Rangers short film.
Yeah. I'm still not sure that I believe it.
It's just the way it happened as well. There was no lead up to it.
No.
It just broke all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Now, Michael, do you know anything about the director of the short film?
Nothing at all. Have you done any research?
Yeah, I've had literally 2 minutes while you're getting ready to do it. His name is Joseph Kahn.
Yep, the name vaguely sounds familiar.
Yeah, he's done a whole lot of music videos. He did Blank Space to Taylor Swift, perhaps most famously recently.
Yes, okay.
He's also done a lot of commercials. He did a short film called Talk with Ice Cube, I believe, but it was very much a small budget type of thing.
Oh, wait. Talk, Torque.
That's the one.
Is that the movie about like a gang on roller skates and they've got things that they flick down to make sparks when they roller skate? Is that Talk?
I have no earthly clue. We'll have to look into that.
All I know of Talk is I'm pretty sure I've seen the trailer, but I may be thinking of a similar Ice Cube movie that came out at the same time.
Yep. Now, Michael, I have in front of me an interview with the director that discusses... I've only had like a very quick skim read of the first few paragraphs. Sure. But I think before we get to his comments, maybe we should just talk about the film itself.
Yeah, let's run through it.
So it starts off in what can only be described, I think, as a live-action Halo commercial, the ones that we would have seen around Halo 3 time.
More or less, yep.
Shaky cam shots of soldiers running into a battle. It's all very frenzied. Explosions everywhere, gunfire. The soldiers have like Space Marine helmets. They're carrying assault rifles. The difference is they're also Power Rangers.
Yep.
So, and they've got you could recognise them as Power Rangers. They've got the traditional layout on their costumes, but they do look much like Space Marines. And they're literally carrying assault rifles into battle, which is a very jarring sight.
Yeah, I don't love the guns. That's the first note I made.
Oh, boy. Before we sort of get too much into the details, I'd just like to say that this is simultaneously the best and worst thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, I totally understand what you mean by that.
And like it's pretty well encapsulated just in this first scene. It's oh wow, this is someone taking Power Rangers very seriously,
but it's also someone taking Power Rangers very seriously.
Exactly what I was about to say.
And it's a show about a moon witch,
way too seriously. So we pan up from the shot of them running across the desert, this warscape, and we see what looks like a rough Michael Bay Transformer fighting with another big machine.
Yep.
Now, this is presumably a Megazord. You can tell because it's probably a bit more rainbow-coloured than a regular machine.
Yep.
And does it explode, or is that just sort of implied?
I think one of them makes the other one explode, and then it lunges towards the camera, something like that.
It's very shaky cam, as I said.
Yeah.
It's very hard to tell. But then we get a voiceover of a narration, and it sounds like Kimberley and someone else who's named is Rocky.
Okay, if you told me 8 hours ago the sentence James Van Der Beek as Rocky, I'd have called you a moron. It works really well, somehow.
Oh, it does, because...
Like, he feels like Rocky.
Like a total tool? Like a douche canoe?
Look,
Is that what
I
you're saying?
understand that you are on board with this because Rocky is a bad guy.
I think, yeah, that was definitely the point I'm most emotionally connected with this, was, oh, yeah, Rocky's the one who becomes the vile turncoat. That makes perfect sense to me.
God, you hate Rocky.
So, look, I appreciated this part, if nothing else. Yeah, we also get, as Kimberley... Michael, I've had a mind blank. Help me out.
Katie Sackhoff is the name you're looking for.
Oh. Yeah, we get Katie Sackhoff as Kimberley with blonde hair. And it's bizarre.
I've had longer to think about that idea.
Yeah.
I guess part of the issue for me is she doesn't really feel like Kimberley the character.
No. But then everyone in this film is like super hardcore, grim and gritty version of their characters. So.
Zach plays pretty much as I'd expect, to be honest.
In this sort of thing.
Yeah, but everyone... There's just a limit to how far you can take those characters into grim and gritty, I think.
Yeah.
Because they're very much limited one-note guys.
And those one notes are generally pretty upbeat and positive.
Yeah.
But that's obviously not what
I will say, Jason David Frank must be, like, shouting at someone right now.
Yeah. Well, he usually is anyway, but yes, I understand what you're saying.
This is the sort of thing that he's been trying to do for, like, 15 years.
Yeah. Thank God no one's let him. Oh.
I think everyone can agree on that.
I think this is proof positive of why. Anyway, we'll talk about that more later.
Yeah.
So we're in a grungy alley while this conversation between Rocky and Kimberley goes on. And we see a homeless man who's fishing alcohol out of dumpsters.
Yep, Power Rangers stuff.
Yeah. There's a police, or like some sort of authoritarian scanning droid scanning the alley. But by the time it's finished its scan, Tommy has disappeared.
Yep.
So, yeah, at this point we know that Kimberley is chained down to something, Rocky is a villainous traitor, and Tommy is drinking alcohol out of trash. Hopefully the other Rangers fare better.
Nope. In fact, it's basically worse for all of them.
Yeah, it really is. So we find out in this conversation that the Machine Empire ended up being what brought the world to its knees and then integrated all of its technology with the world.
That seems to be quite common in fan stuff, is the Machine Empire being really big.
I think they're pretty well set up as being an empire in the way that Lord Zed's Nebulous Empire never really was.
Yeah, absolutely understood.
And I think because they're machines, they also have that inherent quality of, they could overrun things and become quite systemic very quickly.
Yeah, if you take out Lord Zed's empire is screwed.
Yeah.
If you take out, is his name King Mondo?
Yep.
There's still an entire empire of robots.
That's right. So yeah, they've taken over. It looks like Rocky turned on the rest of the Rangers quite early in the piece, and they lost and were stripped of their powers, basically.
Yep.
So it really becomes a sort of mystery as to what's happened to the Power Rangers at this point. And we go one by one as Kimberley sort of relates what she knows of what happened to the Rangers.
Spoilers, guys. They all died horribly.
Yeah, we should probably get that out of the way at the top.
Yeah, you're not going to find out anything happy.
No. Oh, God, this is so depressing. It's so, incredible and depressing all at once.
I think I have to say at this point, the cinematography and the directing, brilliant.
Yeah, it's
beautifully shot, amazing CG.
Yep.
It's just a depressing Power Rangers movie.
Yeah, absolutely. I think as far as production quality goes, A+.
Yep.
especially for this. Like, if you're making a fan film and you can rope Katie Sackhoff and James Van Der Beek into it, you're doing pretty well for yourself.
Yeah,
so.
that's kind of pushing the fan part of that. You're basically just making a short film.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the only difference is you didn't pay Saban any money to do it.
Yeah. So who do we meet first?
Jason first.
That's right. So Rocky's asking about Jason, and
Yep.
Kimberley reveals that they actually got married for all of 8 minutes.
Yep. Bulk and Skull shot the shit out of him.
Yes. Basically, that they were ambushed in a ute and they blew him to pieces Tarantino style.
Bulk says a word that I did not think I'd ever hear, even in conjunction with Power Rangers.
Yeah. Yeah, that happened. This was the point in the movie where I was like, oh, I'm really not going to agree with this thing, am I?
It's definitely the point at which I went, yeah, okay, this is this.
Yeah. Anyway, so Jason dies. That's that.
Yep.
Killed by Bulk and Skull.
The way we always thought he'd go out.
Did you discern what their motivations were? I think I might have missed that.
Drugs?
Okay, sure. All right. Then who do we go to next?
Of all the things that happen in this, Bulk and Skull turning to drugs, I think we can agree, is probably already happened within the actual show.
Yeah, that's probably realistic, given what they've been through.
Yeah, so Zach is next.
That's right.
As well as two naked ladies. Which,
yeah, we get some full frontal nudity, because that's, of course, what we want in Power Rangers.
Yeah.
Man, like, there's going to be some people out here where this is exactly what they've wanted all their lives.
Oh, yeah, there's some people who are watching this on repeat for the next 6 months.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And, look, I think I need to watch it again. Like,
Yeah.
I don't hate... I need to get it out of the way. I don't hate this.
Yeah.
Right? This is a really well-made short film.
Yeah.
It just... Yeah, it doesn't do what I need from Power Rangers.
Yeah, I think that's very much what it is. There's a lot of skill involved and a lot of craft.
Yep.
It's just not the direction we want. And that's never going to be a skill thing. That's just a matter of taste,
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's not fair for us to say that this is a bad film. Obviously, it achieves what it set out to achieve very well. But,
That's just not what not what I would like it to achieve.
Exactly
Even
right.
even in the realms of grim and gritty,
Yeah.
it goes about 6 steps further in that direction. Like, I think you could take Power Rangers grimmer and grittier than the show is, and still be within my level of, like, yeah, I'm down for this.
Yep.
But it's just... It pushes everything too far in that direction for me.
Yep, I agree. So we're with Zach now. He's asleep with some ladies. Kimberley relates to us that what he's been doing has been shooting hip-hop keto, like, exercise videos, basically.
Yep. That's a lovely little... Like, it's shot like some sort of 90s exercise video.
Yeah, it's bizarre because it's set in, like, the 2020 Machine Empire. But it looks like a VHS. So I guess he's going for a retro feel or something. I don't...
Well, I mean, if he was famous as a Power Ranger in 1993...
Yeah.
He could have shot those anyway.
Yeah.
He basically was always an adrenaline junkie.
Yeah.
Which I think rings the most true out of anyone's characterization.
Yeah, I think that's true, but I also think that Zach was one of the more hopeful and optimistic and positive characters of the bunch.
Yeah, I'd agree with you there.
They're all quite like that anyway, but I think he especially was very sort of kind-hearted and positive and upbeat. So this take on him I found very hard to sort of
because we are told that he basically signed up with the Machine Empire.
Yeah, and they gave him his powers back.
And they gave him, his powers back, and then he went to, is it North Korea or South Korea?
North Korea.
Right. Oh, yeah, I mean, the bad Korea, that's fair enough.
Yeah.
Where he takes out, is it a general or some sort of...
Something like that. And I think the idea is that they're the last, people standing up to the Machine Empire on the planet.
Man, imagine if North Korea were the last good guys left on the planet.
Yeah, I think you can understand why the Rangers have given up at that point.
Did you recognise this General, Matt?
He did look familiar, but I wasn't Yeah.
It's Will Yun Lee, who you may remember. He was in Talk,
Okay.
which probably explains why he's in that. He
Yeah.
was in Die Another Day, the James Bond movie.
Right.
He was in a bunch of episodes of Bionic Woman with Katie Sackhoff.
Ah, yeah. That may be where I remember him from.
He's done some episodes of Hawaii Five-0. He was in The Wolverine.
Right.
And he was the main character of one of my favourite games of Last Generation, Sleeping Dogs.
Right. Okay. Yeah, he did look vaguely familiar, so that would explain it.
In the realms of, character actor, Asian actor working in America,
Yeah.
he's definitely top 2 or 3.
Sure, okay. That's cool. So they send Zach to parachute into North Korea and take out some guys. And we actually see a morphing sequence of a sort. So Zach takes his helmet off to sort of talk with them for a bit. That doesn't go too well. So he says it's morphin time, throws the helmet at a guy and bounces it off him and onto his head.
That shot,
Yeah.
if it weren't followed by him stabbing a dude in the eye,
Yeah.
would be perfect for me.
Yeah.
It's just that what follows is the bloodiest action sequence I've seen since Django Unchained.
Yeah, he basically just tears through this room of guys in the most bloody fashion imaginable. And then it ends up coming down to him and the general in the end. And they have a pretty good, a well-choreographed fight scene.
Yeah.
That's quite thrilling up until the point where it invariably ends in stabbing.
Right in the neck.
Yeah. That happens. And it's one of those things where, I watched The Raid 2 recently.
Yep.
Much, much more violent than this.
Mm-hmm.
Also a lot more impressive. That's besides the point. But that wasn't Power Rangers.
Yes.
It's okay for that to be that because it's a crime drama. But I don't, and I want to see that in my crime dramas sometimes.
But not in your Power Rangers.
Exactly.
I'm with you.
Yeah. Anyway,
I'm worried it sounds like we didn't like this.
Yeah.
And I think...
It's so extreme. And
yes,
as we'll talk about at the end of this, that was intended. It's meant to be pushing these buttons, and it does. So I think it's fair to comment on it.
Yep.
So at the end of this, we find that Zach succeeded in his mission.
Sorry, in this scene, we're getting dubstep music that at the end of the fight transforms into the Power Rangers theme.
Yes.
If I can't buy that on iTunes right now, someone's fucked up. I don't even... That's not my kind of music.
Yeah.
And I am totally there for it.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. It's either that or something very similar that plays over the credits. And it's
yes, it is the credits music, I believe.
Yeah. So we find out that Zach succeeded in his mission, went home, and promptly got shot in the back of the head.
Yep.
So that happened. Billy next, I suppose?
Yes, I think so.
Yep. So we find out that Billy has basically been pimping out the Power Rangers technology for money and done extremely well for himself. He's basically, Steve Jobs, I guess.
We hear the company name Cranston Lockheed Martin.
Yeah, that's pretty funny.
That's kind of a nice touch.
That is a nice touch.
It's a shame we don't see, a flying rad bug.
Yep.
That would have... Yeah, anyway.
Yeah, I'm with you. But it turns out he killed himself. Or it looks that way. In his office. But then it pans back and we see there's Tommy there, and it looks like Tommy's been sort of investigating the deaths of the Power Rangers.
Yeah. Now, we did get to see at this point also the Tommy's gold, dragon armor additional bits.
Yeah.
Are represented by, energy force fields.
It looks pretty cool.
It does look cool. I kind of dig them being just additional armor.
Yeah.
As well.
Yeah.
But... yeah, it's a nice effect, and it's well rendered and well executed. So, whatever, go for it.
Absolutely. So that's pretty much it for the Rangers at this point, isn't it?
So the last time Kimberley saw Tommy was at Trini's funeral.
Yeah.
That's going to be the fate of all Power Rangers adaptations from here on out, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so, unfortunately.
I mean, I understand it, and it's the way it's got to be.
It does, yes and no. Although, obviously, this is the path this one was going to take, there's no reason for it to be oh, Trini went on vacation and couldn't come back in time for this. And I'm okay with that too, you know?
Sure.
But before we get too much into this last sort of act, though, the fight scene with Zack, I think, is a good opportunity to talk about the costume, because it's definitely the best look at it.
Yep.
It's one of those things that, in motion, it looks okay, but as soon as you stop and look at it for a second...
Something about the proportions feels off.
Everything about it is actually really cheap. And I almost, respect them for not having it be, Space Marine armour. It is still just cloth stretched over what looks like, a bulletproof vest or something like that underneath.
Yeah, some sort of body armour layer.
Yeah, but it really is just spandex. They don't have belts, so their morphers are just, limply hanging off a white area on the spandex.
Yeah.
And the helmets look cheap with weird mouths.
The mouths are definitely weird. The weird mouths was something everybody picked up on when we saw those images a couple of months ago.
Yeah. Everything about this costume, I think it's just one of the aspects of the production that doesn't live up to the effects and the cinematography and stuff like that. I've seen a lot of cosplayers at conventions that could do a much better job with these costumes than this.
I think one of the issues is you fall into what I consider the Batman problem, which is that Batman as drawn...
Yep.
It's impossible to get a version of that armour on screen.
Yep, absolutely.
Because that's designed to look like a single grey bodysuit piece.
Yep.
But as soon as you do that, you get Adam West in a jumpsuit.
Yeah, it's designed for the pages, not designed for screen, absolutely.
Yeah, so with Power Rangers, it's not designed for the page, but it was designed for, a bunch of fit young Japanese men.
Yep. And with the upcoming Superpower beatdown starring the Green Ranger, the costume that they've got for that, while probably skewing a bit too far into the Power Ranger side of the equation, I think is much closer to what they should have been going for.
Yeah, it's definitely more textured and thick and heavy and
it looks like it has a purpose. It looks not like a costume, I guess. It looks like armour, whereas this does look like they're still just wearing weird costumes.
I certainly understand, in the context of this is really the only sequence with them in costume.
Yeah.
Other than the very shaky cam bits at the start. So, it's certainly, I can understand why you don't pour a lot of your money into it, just from a, budget of a 15-minute short film point of view.
Yep.
But... yeah, make the black one look a little cooler, maybe.
Yep, I'm with you. Anyway, moving on. We're getting to the last act of the film now, where we find out that Rocky is trying to figure out where Tommy is, because he thinks that Tommy might have murdered all of the other Rangers. This is actually a murder investigation regarding the Power Rangers. It's not about coming down on Kimberley or trying to sort of catch Tommy for any other purpose except to try and figure out why he's killing Power Rangers.
Yep.
Now, that doesn't quite seem to gel with what we've seen or what we've heard about Tommy in this film, so something must be up. What we do learn is that Kimberley wasn't brought in for questioning really to be questioned. It was as bait to lure Tommy.
That makes sense.
Yeah, if they think he's the killer.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Tommy does, in fact, arrive, and it leads to a knockdown, drag-out sword fight between Tommy and Rocky.
We will say in tomorrow's episode of Dino Charge how much we want sword fights in this show.
Yep.
I think we're proven correct by this. Sword fights are great.
Yeah, they're awesome. And I think because they have those cool, fold-out swords that look technologically advanced, it adds something to the sequence.
Yeah, I do wish it looked a little more like a Blade Blaster, personally.
Yeah,
but
absolutely. And I think Rocky's got a cybernetic leg, if not some other cybernetic enhancements as well. So he seems to be just a bit stronger than Tommy. And this ends up being the case, we find out, because he does defeat Tommy in the sword fight.
I kind of wish that they'd morphed.
Me too. I had that feeling, but I guess the idea is that the powers were taken from them. They didn't give them up. So,
yeah.
How do you do... Yeah, I don't know. But I do too. I was waiting for the it's morphing time from.
I feel like you could explain Rocky having his powers as him being on the side of the Machine Empire.
Yep.
And Tommy having his powers as some sort of like he didn't wait to give them up, he just fucked off and disappeared.
Sure, absolutely. But yeah, no, that doesn't happen. They do just have a normal person sword fight.
Yep.
Rocky is just about to kill Tommy when his head explodes because Kim has shot him.
Yep. Which I was waiting for since basically the shot right at the start where there's a gun on the desk.
Yes, absolutely.
It's
look,
they've read their Chekhov.
I don't want to see Power Rangers killing people. I don't want to see Power Rangers killed. But there was a very small evil part of me that got a little something out of Rocky being shot in the head. I
think, oh, now I know why Matt sent me such an excited message.
No, it's not.
Oh, Rocky's head explodes. Yeah. No, of course Matt's down for that.
No, this was before I got to that point. So Rocky's down, and Tommy asks Kimberley, "Who are you?" Which seems like a very strange question to ask. She replies, "Oh, it's me, Kimberley." And Tommy says, "No, it's not, because I watched Kimberley die on that planet that we fought Machine Empire on."
I have a question.
Yes.
Everyone always tries when they're like pretending to be someone else and someone says, "Who are you?" They always try one last, "No, it's me."
Yep.
At that point, you're rumbled, right?
Well, I don't think the person who is pretending to be Kimberley knows what happened.
Okay, sure, I'd buy that.
Yeah, I think there could have been a possibility for getting away with it, but no, Tommy knows because he watched Kim die on that planet, and we find out that it was in fact Kimberley who set up Jason and killed Zach and encouraged Billy to kill himself, which is a bit of a dun 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 moment. But of course, it's not really Kimberley; it's someone pretending to be Kimberley.
Did you know at this point who it was?
I very strongly suspected.
Sure.
Did you?
I was pretty sure.
Yeah.
The only reason I was unsure is that I thought Cat would also have been an acceptable answer.
That was also my line of thought, yeah. I was thinking about it, but then when you see the shot of dead Kimberley on the planet, it also looks like Katie Sackhoff.
Yes.
And I don't understand why Rocky wouldn't know the difference between Cat and Kimberley.
Sure.
So yeah, it's not Cat, it is in fact a disguised Rita Repulsa.
As played by the Carla Perez, TV's own Rita Repulsa, I should say.
So that was amazing.
Yeah, I mean, if you've got to get someone to play Rita Repulsa,
Yep.
get the person who played Rita Repulsa.
And with that, Tommy leaps at Rita with a roar with his sword, and that's that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so bizarre. Everything about it.
Yeah, it's just, I watched James Van Der Beek as Rocky for 15 minutes.
Yep.
I can't wrap my head around that sentence.
No, it's bizarre. So, Michael, watching that, you would get the impression that Joseph Kahn is a man who wants to make himself a Power Rangers film, yeah?
See, almost no.
Yep.
And the reason I say that is because it's 15 minutes long.
Yep.
If it was 5 minutes long, that's something you do to convince them that you should make the Power Rangers movie.
Yep.
If it's 15 minutes long, that could be something you do to get out your Power Rangers movie.
Yep.
You know, like, that's your Power Rangers short film, and now I'll go make Talk 2, I guess?
Sure.
What's Ice Cube doing these days? He can't be that busy.
Well, you're very perceptive, because that is in fact the case. He said that if he was offered to direct a $200 million version of the film, like a feature, he would say no. He literally wouldn't do it. It's just not interesting to him. He was apparently fascinated, and I should preface this by saying this is my 5-minute skim read of an article I just didn't have time to get through.
Sure, we'll put a link to that article in the show notes as well, so you guys can give it a read.
Yeah. But yeah, he basically said that he was interested in this sort of trend of taking your nostalgic properties and making them grim and gritty.
Yep.
And he decided that he'd try his best at taking one of the silliest children's properties and see, just as like an exercise, if he could grim and gritty it to the extreme. and make something basically exactly like what he made.
And see, that's fascinating to me because as someone who I think we can agree is deeply on the inside of Power Rangers,
Yep.
he's probably not aware as someone who, like, is outside, as we are, that this is all anyone ever does with Power Rangers.
Yep, absolutely.
Like, we've been talking about maybe in the Dino Charge hiatus watching some, like, fan films, short films.
Yep.
And so I've been putting together a brief list and watching bits of them. There's no, like, Power Rangers crazy Moon Witch short films.
Yep.
They're all about dudes killing each other.
Yep. And it's very serious. Oh, we were really tricked into working for Zordon. The world is so much more grey than that.
I'm a little disappointed we didn't see any Alpha 5 in this.
Yeah, it seemed like he'd fit right in.
Look, I will say, if that's his goal,
Yep.
he's succeeded absolutely. There's no question about that.
Mission accomplished.
Yeah. And that actually makes me feel better about it, like, somehow.
Oh, yeah, because that was his intent. You know,
He's not like, I wanted to make a rad Power Rangers movie.
Yep.
And the most rad Power Rangers movie he could make was, like, dudes' heads exploding.
Yep.
He wanted to make this movie, and he made this movie.
He really did. He went all out. Yeah, I guess I don't know what else there is to say about this now because, like, I'm still in a bit of shock. My one true hope is that there's a lot of Power Rangers fans out there who wanted a grim and gritty version of Power Rangers, saw this, and went, oh, okay, maybe that is a bit too far. And it allows them to be a bit more open to a PG-13 or a more optimistic version when the actual movie rolls around next year.
I will say I think you're being particularly optimistic there, Matt.
Yeah, I understand that.
In the comments under the video on Vimeo, there is certainly one or two guys who are going, man, I don't know that that's what Power Rangers is. But there's also 15 or 16 people going, oh my god, that was the best thing I've ever seen.
Yeah. And I understand that reaction.
Yeah,
you know? I don't agree.
If you loved this, I don't want it to come away like we're shitting on you.
Oh, no, not at all.
Like,
it's definitely just a matter of taste.
Yeah.
And look, if I had seen this, let's say 10, 11 years ago, would have lost my shit, and this would be my favourite thing in the world.
Yeah, I've had some time to grow. I guess bored is probably not the right word, but I think I'm done with grim and gritty superheroes.
Sure.
I think we've said everything that needs to be said there, almost.
Yep.
And so
I think, as well, it's a matter of intent. Like, sometimes things can be dark, but grim and gritty is a form of over-seriousness. And I don't want to compare, like, Bendis' Daredevil, for example, and lump that in with, like, this.
Yes, certainly.
Because
there's serious takes.
Yeah.
Like, if we're talking Bendis, Alias, right?
Yep, absolutely.
That's a bleak fucking book.
Yep.
But it's bleak because it's about shitty things.
That's right. And if anything, like, the difference is a level of maturity. Like, that's a mature book because it deals with those themes in a mature way and ends up coming to adult conclusions about them.
Yeah.
Whereas something like this is immature because...
Yes, it's dealing with those things because heads exploding is cool.
That's right. It takes the surface level skim approach to maturity and comes off much the worse for wear for it. But again, look, I understand that that's something that you can really get something out of, and that's cool.
And also is what they intended to do. And so...
Absolutely.
Yeah, my big belief is judging works of art. I know your big belief is not comparing works of art at all.
Yep.
But mine is judging them based on the goals that they were setting out to achieve.
Certainly.
And I think this one you've got to give a 10 out of 10 in terms of what it was trying to do.
Absolutely. Yeah, I would definitely agree with that.
I hope to God we don't see 2 hours of this in July next year.
That would make me very sad. But it's not. It can't. Like, Transformers is bad, but it's not this, you know?
No.
And I think we're probably, unfortunately, going to get something much closer to Transformers than this, where it's not sort of horrendously and permanently bleak. It's just, a bit darker.
Look, I'm personally setting my sights much higher than Transformers. But, we'll see. I mean, it'd be nice if they'd announce a director so we could know whether to be worried or not.
That would be nice.
Soon. It's got to be soon, right? It's the end of February. They're going to have to start shooting pretty soon.
Yeah, I don't know when that's coming. I imagine Saban's probably not too happy about this.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. I'm really like, this has just come out. It came out tonight.
Yep.
It could be offline tomorrow.
Yep.
As far as we know.
Particularly because Saban now, more than the past, 4 or 5 years, is very keen and actively is using those original characters for things that are going to start making the money again.
Yes.
Starting
next
with
year,
Megaforce.
there will be a Kimberley on the big screen, probably.
Exactly. That's probably the biggest one, and I think having those characters murdering people with famous actors playing them is probably something that makes the Saban brand team flip their shit.
There is apparently a clean version on YouTube.
Right. Okay.
I can only imagine that it's about 4 seconds long.
I think I did see that mentioned in the comments, and it was just saying basically that it took out the full frontal nudity of the women,
right?
But left in the violence and the swearing. Which
I think
America.
I think we all know which of those is worse, Matt.
Yeah, that's anyway. That's right.
I don't know that I've got anything else to say.
I think we're going to have to just decompress now.
Yeah, I mean, that sure was something.
It sure was. Because I was just lying on my back on the couch, scrolling through my Facebook feed, and someone just posted it to a Power Rangers group that I'm a part of on Facebook.
Sure.
With basically no comment, and I just started watching it. I was like, "Oh, this is a pretty high production quality fan film," and then I got to Katie Sackhoff, and it was like, "Oh, I really have to get in contact with Michael right now."
Yeah, I don't know that I have anything else to say about it. I mean, we've already talked for 3 times the runtime of the film. Yeah,
absolutely. Let us know what you thought, guys, and maybe we'll talk about it a bit more on not tomorrow's episode of Dino Charge, but the week after.
Yeah, send us emails, tweet at us.
Yep, that's rangeangepodcast@gmail.com.
Yeah, at RangerDcast on Twitter or on Facebook. You guys know how to get in touch with us. There'll be a new episode of Ranger Danger Dino Charge tomorrow. It may already be today where you live.
Yep.
We won't talk about this in that because we've already recorded that and not this. It's really weird when you record stuff out of order.
It is, but, it's how we keep 2 podcasts a week following to our listeners, so it's a necessary evil.
I think you can expect in the future to see probably some more of these breaking news podcasts.
Yep.
Especially once the movie ramps up into production.
Yep.
Other than that, I don't think I've got anything else to say. Let us know what you thought, and you'll hear from us tomorrow.
Cool. And thanks for listening.